The cabin humidity on a long-haul flight is typically between 10 and 20%. The Sahara Desert averages 25%. You're flying in conditions drier than the world's most famous desert for 8, 10, sometimes 14 hours, and most passengers board with no plan for what that does to their body. That is one of 8 things this video covers. Not general advice about getting enough sleep or staying hydrated. Specific gear, specific positioning, and specific science. The physical comfort setup that makes a 12-hour economy seat feel like a completely different experience. 8 things. Here's all of them. This video is specifically about the physical comfort layer, the gear you bring, and the positioning you set up before the plane reaches cruising altitude. Not jet lag, not seat selection, not what to eat. The 8 things that address what your body actually experiences during a long-haul economy flight: the dryness, the circulation problems, the noise, the light, the neck angle, and the floor contact that most passengers never solve because nobody told them the solutions exist. Here's what we're covering: the cabin humidity problem and the specific hydration protocol that actually addresses it. Compression socks. The DVT data most travelers have never seen, and the one wearing mistake that makes them useless. The foot hammock. The most underrated piece of travel gear on the market, and why it changes circulation more than compression alone. Window seat sleep positioning. The specific body geometry that makes the window the sleep seat on any aircraft. The noise cancelling question. When headphones outperform earplugs and when they don't. Eye mask selection. The light science behind why the wrong eye mask makes sleep harder, not easier. The backwards neck pillow technique and then what it does and why most passengers are using their pillow wrong. And the under $40 comfort kit build, the 8 items assemble as a single personal item pocket system. Let's start with the cabin itself. Hack number 1. Cabin humidity and the hydration protocol that actually works. Airplane cabin humidity is controlled by how much outside air the aircraft systems mix with recirculated cabin air. Outside air at cruising altitude contains almost no moisture. The result is a cabin environment with relative humidity between 10 and 20% for the duration of the flight. Lower than most deserts, lower than most climate-controlled buildings, and far below the 40 to 60% range the human body operates comfortably in. The consequences are specific and predictable. Your nasal passages dry out. This is not just discomfort, it's a reduction in the mucous membrane's ability to filter airborne particles, which is part of why planes feel like cold and flu environments. Your skin loses moisture at an accelerated rate. Your eyes dry out. Contact lens wearers experience this most severely, and you become significantly more dehydrated than ground-level activity would produce, which compounds fatigue and increases the severity of jet lag. The standard advice is drink water. It is correct but incomplete. Here is the full protocol. Drink 8 ounces of water for every hour of flight time, not when you feel thirsty, because thirst is a lagging indicator of dehydration. Avoid alcohol and caffeine for the first 2 hours. Both are diuretics that accelerate fluid loss in an already dry environment. Use a hydrating nasal spray, plain saline, available at any drugstore, once per 3 hours to maintain nasal membrane moisture. Apply a moisturizing lip balm and a travel-size face moisturizer within the first hour of boarding before the cabin dries out completely. If you wear contacts, switch to glasses before boarding or use lubricating eye drops every 2 hours. This is the full protocol, not just drink water. Hack number 2, compression socks, the DVT data, and the one wearing mistake that makes them useless. Deep vein thrombosis, DVT, is the formation of a blood clot in a deep vein, most commonly in the leg. Prolonged sitting at altitude creates 3 conditions that increase DVT risk. Reduced cabin pressure slightly thickens blood, low humidity causes mild dehydration, which increases clotting tendency, and immobility stops the leg muscle contractions that normally pump blood back toward the heart. The World Health Organization estimates that flight-related DVT risk roughly doubles on flights over 4 hours and increases significantly on flights over 8 hours. Compression socks address the circulation problem mechanically. They apply graduated pressure from the ankle upward, assisting venous return without relying on muscle movement. A 2016 Cochrane review found that compression stockings significantly reduced the incidence of symptomless DVT on long-haul flights. Here's the wearing mistake that eliminates most of this benefit. Most passengers put compression socks on at the airport after they've already been sitting in transit for 1 to 2 hours. The sock needs to be applied before the blood begins to pool, not after pooling has started. Put compression socks on at home before you leave for the airport. Graduated compression, not compression socks marketed as travel socks, with uniform pressure. Look for 15 to 20 millimeters of mercury compression for economy class travel, 20 to 30 millimeters of mercury if you have a prior DVT history or a physician recommendation. Remove them only after you've been walking at your destination, not at baggage claim while standing still. Hack number 3, the foot hammock. The most underrated piece of travel gear most passengers have never heard of. Economy class seats have a standard seat pitch, the distance between your seat and the one in front, of approximately 30 to 32 inches. At that pitch, the seat in front of you is close enough that most passengers' feet rest flat on the floor for the duration of the flight. Flat floor contact for 10 hours does 2 things. It compresses the underside of your thighs against the seat pan, reducing blood flow to the lower leg, and it provides no postural variation, which means the same muscle groups are statically loaded for the entire flight. A foot hammock is a fabric strap that attaches to the tray table hinge or the seat back pocket in front of you, creating a raised footrest approximately 4 to 6 inches off the floor. This does 3 specific things. It reduces seat pan pressure on the underside of the thighs, the same mechanism that makes prolonged sitting painful. It allows you to vary foot position without disturbing the passenger in front of you, and it slightly elevates the feet relative to the hips, which assists venous return in combination with the compression socks. The product costs between $10 and $15 on Amazon. It packs flat in a pocket. Most airlines permit it. It is the single highest comfort to cost piece of travel gear that almost no passenger knows exists, which is why it is first on the packing list for every experienced long-haul economy traveler. Search foot hammock airplane or portable footrest for travel. They are widely available from multiple brands. The primary keyword for this video, incidentally, is foot hammock for airplane, and if you're watching this after already knowing about foot hammocks, leave a comment, because you are in a very small group. Now, the window seat. Most passengers choose it for the view, or to avoid the aisle traffic. Experienced long-haul travelers choose it for a completely different reason, one that has nothing to do with either of those things. Hack number 4. Window seat sleep geometry. Why the window is the sleep seat and how to use it. The window seat is the sleep seat on any commercial aircraft, not because of the view, but because of geometry. Here is the specific reason. An economy seat reclines approximately 2 to 4 inches, not enough to create a sleeping position for most passengers. The window gives you a fixed vertical surface, the fuselage wall, at roughly the right angle to support the side of your head without requiring your neck muscles to hold your head upright. The result is that a window seat passenger can sleep against the wall with their neck supported, while a middle or aisle seat passenger must either use a neck pillow, which we cover next, or allow their head to drop forward onto their chest, which collapses the airway slightly and interrupts sleep cycles. Beyond the geometry, the window seat has 2 sleep advantages the other seats don't. You control the shade, which means you control the light environment, which directly controls your body's melatonin production during sleep hours. And you have 1 neighbor instead of 2, which means 1 fewer source of movement disturbance during sleep. The full window seat sleep setup. Close the shade once the cabin goes dark. Use a light-blocking eye mask as a backup. Position yourself turned slightly toward the window with your shoulder against the fuselage, and use the neck pillow backwards, which we'll cover in the next hack, to fill the gap between your head and the wall. This is the closest approximation to a lie-flat position that economy geometry allows. Hack number 5, the backwards neck pillow technique. Why most passengers are using theirs wrong. A standard travel neck pillow is designed in a U shape that cups the back of the neck and prevents the head from dropping backward, which is the right solution for sleeping upright in a seat that doesn't recline significantly. This is not the problem most economy passengers actually have. The problem on a long-haul flight is the head dropping forward or sideways, not backward, because the seat reclines just enough that forward head drop is the failure mode, not backward. When a U-shaped neck pillow is worn the traditional way, opening facing forward, it provides support at the back and sides of the neck, but offers almost nothing to prevent the chin-to-chest drop that wakes most economy passengers up repeatedly during sleep attempts. Here's the fix. Rotate the pillow 180 degrees so the opening faces backward toward the seat headrest, and the full cushion portion faces forward and upward under the chin. This supports the head from below and in front, preventing forward drop without requiring any muscle engagement. It feels unusual for the first few minutes. After that, it is significantly more effective than the standard orientation for preventing the head jerk that interrupts economy sleep. The technique works with any U-shaped travel pillow. It works especially well in combination with the window seat position. The pillow fills the gap between your head and the fuselage wall on the side while supporting from below. Try it on your next flight before writing it off. Most passengers who try it don't go back. 3 more, including the one that makes the most difference to sleep quality and the full comfort kit build that packages all 8 of these into a single underseat pocket system. Subscribe to Trip Hacker Vault, and this is what we cover every video. Hack number 6. Eye mask selection. Why the wrong mask makes sleep harder, not easier. Light is the primary signal your brain uses to regulate circadian rhythm, the internal clock that controls when your body produces melatonin and initiates sleep. On a long-haul flight, the cabin light cycle rarely aligns with your body's home time zone, which is why you arrive either exhausted or wired, regardless of how long the flight was. An eye mask is the most direct intervention available for this problem. It removes the light input that suppresses melatonin production regardless of what the cabin is doing. The issue is that most travel eye masks fail at the only job they have: complete light blocking. Thin fabric masks allow light through the material itself. Masks that don't seal around the nose bridge allow light in from below. And flat masks, the ones that press directly against your eyelids, interfere with REM sleep eye movement and create pressure discomfort that wakes light sleepers. Here is what to look for. Contoured eye masks, also called 3D eye masks, have a molded cup shape that keeps the mask surface off your eyelids entirely, allowing normal eye movement during REM sleep. Look for blackout-rated fabric, a nose bridge seal, and an adjustable strap that doesn't press against your ears when lying against the window or headrest. These are available for under $15. They are not all equal. The difference between a $4 flat mask and a $12 contoured blackout mask is measurable in sleep quality and worth the price difference on any flight over 6 hours. Hack number 7, noise management. When earplugs outperform headphones and when they don't. Noise-canceling headphones and earplugs solve different problems, and knowing which one you need for which situation changes both your comfort and your sleep quality. Active noise cancellation works by generating an opposing sound wave to cancel out consistent low-frequency noise, specifically the constant engine hum and cabin vibration that is present at cruising altitude for the entire flight. NC headphones are very good at this one specific job. They do almost nothing for irregular, higher-frequency sounds, conversation, a crying infant 2 rows forward, the galley cart, the aisle announcement. Earplugs do the opposite. They attenuate sound passively across a broader frequency range, blocking both the low-frequency engine noise and the irregular, higher-frequency sounds. They are significantly less comfortable for extended wear. Foam earplugs create canal pressure that becomes noticeable after 2 to 3 hours, but they outperform ANC headphones for total sound reduction in a mixed noise environment. The practical answer for a long-haul flight is a combination approach. Use ANC headphones for the first several hours for entertainment, for the engine hum during the work or reading, and for active listening time. Switch to earplugs for sleep, wax earplugs or silicone earplugs, not foam, which have lower canal pressure and shape better to individual ear geometry. The combination costs under $20 total for earplugs. Most travelers already have the headphones. The switch is the part that most people skip. Hack number 8, the under $40 comfort kit build, the complete personal item pocket system. Every item in this video is available individually, but experienced long-haul travelers assemble them as a single system, stored in one pocket of their personal item, so that everything is accessible without opening the overhead bin or disturbing the passenger next to them. Here is the complete kit. Compression socks, $8 to $12 for a quality graduated pair. Foot hammock, $10 to $15. Contoured blackout eye mask, $10 to $15. Wax or silicone earplugs, $5 to $8 for a multi-pack. Travel saline nasal spray, $4 to $6. Travel moisturizer and lip balm, typically already in a toiletry kit, if not, under $6 combined. One small resealable bag keeps earplugs and nasal spray together and prevents the rest of the kit from searching through a full bag at 2 a.m. in a dark cabin. Total cost, between $37 and $56 depending on what you already own. All of it fits in a single zip pocket of any standard personal item bag, the under-seat bag that stays with you for the entire flight. This is not a luxury setup. This is the baseline that experienced economy travelers carry as standard equipment, the same way they carry their boarding pass. The foot hammock attaches when you sit down. The compression socks go on at home. The eye mask and earplugs come out when the cabin lights dim. The nasal spray runs every 3 hours. The rest is passive. It just works. 8 items. And here's the number that frames why every single one of them matters more than most passengers realize. According to IATA, the average long-haul economy passenger arrives at their destination reporting moderate to severe physical discomfort, neck pain, leg swelling, fatigue, and skin dryness on over 60% of flights longer than 8 hours. Not because the flight was bad, because they boarded without a physical comfort setup. 8 items that cost under $40 combined and address every single one of those outcomes. Cabin humidity, 8 ounces of water per flight hour. Saline nasal spray every 3 hours. Moisturizer at boarding. DVT in circulation. Compression socks on at home. Foot hammock installed at your seat. Sleep quality. Window seat with shade control. Contoured blackout eye mask. Wax or silicone earplugs switched in when lights go down. Neck support. Backwards neck pillow technique. Opening facing back. Cushion facing forward and under the chin. Noise management, ANC, headphones for entertainment hours, earplugs for sleep hours. The full kit in one pocket of your personal item. That is the physical comfort setup that changes what a 12-hour economy seat actually feels like. Subscribe to Trip Hacker Vault. Every video is exactly this. The specific gear, the specific science, and the specific steps that make every part of flying work better. Drop a comment below. Which of these 8 are you already using and which one surprised you? I read every single one. See you on the next one.